Across the country, in quiet homes and sleepless rooms, millions of people carry a financial fear they rarely speak about. It arrives in the pit of the stomach when a bill lands, when a car makes a sound it shouldn't make. Most of them aren't reckless. They work, they try, they plan, but they are one emergency away from disaster: a blown tire, a lost job, a medical bill, a laptop that dies. One unexpected moment, and the ground disappears. For this group, life is lived in reaction mode. They don't make choices, they dodge consequences. Every decision is filtered through a single question: can I afford this right now? Not, should I do this? Not, is this the best option? And yet, there is another group, smaller, quieter. Their lives look identical on the surface. Same income, same city, same daily rhythm. But their reality is entirely different. Their choices are calmer. Their stress is lower. The difference between these two worlds is rarely income. Very often it begins with a single financial threshold: $10,000 saved, not invested, not spent, saved, liquid, ready. For those who cross that line, something fundamental shifts, psychologically, emotionally, financially. The $10,000 rule isn't about wealth, it's about stability, identity, and control, and it changes everything. Most households exist on a tightrope, no safety net, no margin for error. They don't wake up thinking, how can I grow? They wake up thinking, how do I keep from falling? Rent due in 12 days, car payment next week, groceries running low. This is what psychologists call survival mode. When the brain senses ongoing threat, financial or otherwise, it narrows its focus to immediate problems: bills, rent, food, gas, the next paycheck. The nervous glance at the bank app before every purchase. In this state, long-term planning vanishes. Risk feels unbearable. Life becomes a series of financial fire drills. Every week brings a new small crisis that demands immediate attention, immediate energy, and there is science behind it. When financial danger feels constant, the brain floods with cortisol, the stress hormone designed for emergencies. Cortisol is useful. It sharpens focus. It speeds reaction time. It helps you survive real threats. But cortisol works in short bursts. As a lifestyle, it erodes sleep, emotional regulation, confidence, health, and reasoning itself. It turns the mind into a threat detection machine, constantly scanning for the next problem, the next danger, the next thing that could go wrong. People in survival mode don't make poor decisions because they're careless. They make them because stress hijacks problem solving. When your brain is flooded with cortisol, when your nervous system is locked in fight or flight, you cannot think clearly about compound interest, career planning, or long-term strategy. The mind cannot plan 10 years ahead when it feels unsafe today. That's why the first milestone, the first $1,000, is the hardest step in all of wealth building. Not because of the amount, but because of the identity shift it demands. To save anything at all, a person must fight impulse, habit, environment, culture, and emotion. They must say no when everyone around them says yes. They must delay gratification in a world designed to eliminate waiting. They must act differently than they've ever acted before. Saving the first $1,000 is the moment someone stops being a spender who occasionally tries to save and becomes a saver who occasionally chooses to spend. It's the moment the internal narrative changes from "I can't afford to save" to "I can't afford not to." That shift is brutal. It's lonely. It requires becoming a different version of yourself before you've seen any evidence that the new version works. But for the few who push through, a new path opens. The difference between having $0 saved and $10,000 saved is not merely $10,000. It is psychological oxygen. At $10,000, emergencies lose their power. Choices multiply. Time expands. Confidence replaces panic. A bill can arrive without causing a sleepless night. Life moves from reaction to strategy. That money becomes a buffer between a person and chaos. It's not just numbers on a screen. It's peace of mind. It's the ability to breathe. It's the difference between asking, "How will I survive this?" and asking, "What's my best move?" Those two questions create entirely different lives. This is where the mind shifts from scarcity psychology to opportunity psychology. Without a cushion, every choice feels dangerous. A job change becomes unthinkable. What if there's a gap in pay? A move feels impossible. What if something breaks? A chance at growth feels too risky. What if it doesn't work out? Because without savings, failure doesn't just mean disappointment. Failure equals collapse. Failure means eviction, repossession, desperation. But with $10,000 saved, failure becomes recoverable. You can take a chance on a better job because you have 3 months of expenses covered if it doesn't work out. You can walk away from a toxic workplace because you're not one missed paycheck away from homelessness. You can invest in a course, a certification, a skill upgrade, because you know a single unexpected expense won't derail everything. Risk becomes calculated. Decisions become rational instead of desperate. This is why people with even modest financial cushions often advance faster in their careers. Not because they're more talented, not because they work harder, but because stability creates boldness, and boldness creates opportunity. They can negotiate salaries instead of accepting the first offer. They can wait for the right move instead of jumping at the first escape route. Once someone crosses into the $10,000 zone, everyday life transforms in subtle but profound ways. Unexpected expenses become annoyances, not emergencies. The washing machine breaks? Frustrating but manageable. The car needs new brakes? Annoying but not catastrophic. The laptop dies? Inconvenient but not life-ending. Grocery trips are guided by preference, not fear. You can buy the healthier option without calculating cost per ounce. You can stock up when something's on sale instead of buying the cheapest thing today. You can feed yourself well instead of just cheaply. A car issue becomes a task, not a crisis. You call the mechanic without the sinking feeling that this might be the expense that breaks you. You get it fixed properly instead of asking for the bare minimum patch job to limp along another month. A job offer can be negotiated, not begged for. You have leverage. You have options. You have the ability to walk away if the terms aren't right. That changes everything about the conversation. Sleep comes easier. The 3 a.m. anxiety attacks become less frequent. The racing thoughts about money quiet down. The body stops treating every night like a threat assessment. Breathing feels lighter. There's space in the chest that wasn't there before. The jaw unclenches. Money, ironically, becomes less emotional when there's finally some of it. The mind stops running survival calculations all day. That reduction in stress restores mental bandwidth, which is what finally allows people to focus on learning new skills, increasing income, planning ahead, investing intelligently, and making rational long-term choices. This is why the $10,000 milestone generates momentum. It's not just the money, it's the mental space, it's the emotional energy that gets freed up. With that energy no longer consumed by daily financial survival, financial progress actually accelerates. You can finally think about growth instead of just damage control. Reaching $10,000 is not about perfection. It's about consistency, identity, and patience. The first $1,000 requires identity change. This is the hardest part. This is where most people fail, because it demands becoming someone new before you have any proof it will work. The next $4,000 requires habit. You've proven to yourself you can save. Now you need to systematize it. Automate it. Make it boring. Make it automatic. The final $5,000 requires discipline and direction. You're close now. You can see the finish line. But this is where life will test you. The car will need work. The friend will get married. The trip will come up. And you'll have to choose the goal over the moment, again and again, until you cross the line. People think wealth begins with investing. It doesn't. Wealth begins with breathing room. Investing is step 2. Stability is step 1. You cannot build wealth on a foundation of chaos. You cannot invest wisely when you're in survival mode. You cannot think long-term when you're living short-term. The $10,000 rule creates that stability. It is the foundation. Without it, every financial structure above it remains fragile. With it, everything else becomes possible. Those who live with savings move through the world differently. They aren't rich. Most of them still work paycheck to paycheck in terms of cash flow. But they simply aren't afraid. And that alone alters their trajectory. They take opportunities others cannot. They negotiate from strength. They exit bad situations sooner. They wait for better options. They make decisions based on potential, not panic. They think in years, not days. They are not free, but they are no longer trapped. And that is what the first $10,000 truly represents. A shift from fear to control, from reaction to intention, from surviving to living. In every city, every workplace, every neighborhood, two financial lives exist side by side. One is defined by tension, sleeplessness, silent panic, one problem away from collapse. They look fine from the outside. They show up. They smile. They function. But inside, there's a constant hum of anxiety that never quite fades. The other is steadier, calmer, clearer. Not because they earn more, but because they crossed a threshold that changed everything. Their first $10,000 saved. The difference is invisible from the outside, but on the inside, it is night and day. Because the first $10,000 changes your life, and what comes after can change your future. Subscribe for more financial literacy breakdowns. This is the Money Introduction channel. We drop videos like this all the time, so if you learned something today, then keep watching. See you on the next one.